Awesome. Okay, so this flow chart that we have here, maybe, okay, goes through, and sorry, I meant to get set up before I started and I forgot. Okay, so all the basic quadrilaterals that you need to know for this class are on this flow chart, except that we rarely ever use kites, and we rarely use trapezoids. So really our focus is over here at the things that are parallelograms and specialty parallelograms. So the way this works is something is a quadrilateral as long as it has 4 sides, right? Okay. So then if you take that quadrilateral that has 4 sides, and if it meets any of these criteria right here, okay? So if you know that something has 4 sides, which is probably pretty obvious, and you happen to know that both pairs of opposite sides are congruent, just even if you just know that one thing right here, then that tells you it's a parallelogram, okay? Or if you just know that an angle is supplementary to its 2 consecutive angles, then you know it's a parallelogram. Those circles are hideous. We're getting rid of those. Okay. Yeah? Okay, so any of these are like just a shortcut, I guess, to tell you that a quadrilateral is now something more specific, which is a parallelogram. Once it's a parallelogram, there's all these properties. So the blue box is all the properties that parallelograms actually have. So you know how you did like the triangle shortcuts where you had like side, side, side? Well, that was just using that 3 sets of sides were congruent, and that would tell you that the 2 triangles were completely congruent. So you didn't have to know that their angles were congruent. You can get that just from knowing their sides are congruent. It's just a shortcut, okay? This is the same thing. The pinkish salmon colored boxes, if you will, those are just shortcuts. So if a 4-sided shape has any one of these bullet points over here, then it's automatically a parallelogram. But because it's a parallelogram, these 4 bullet points, these guys right here, will all be true. Yeah? So then the flowchart keeps going in that same way. So on your assignment, you're already guaranteed that everything is a parallelogram. That was supposed to be a check mark. Yep, that didn't work. Try again. Ah, there we go. Okay, so everything in this assignment is already a parallelogram. Okay, so it's for sure at least a parallelogram, but your job is to come up with the most specific name for it. So more specific than saying something is a parallelogram would be saying that it's a rectangle, a rhombus, or a square. Oh no, don't do that. Are you guys still with me? Did I lose everybody? Who kicked me out? It was Mason. What a jerk. Gosh, why can't you just be nice? Okay. All right. Are we all back in? Sorry. Sometimes my computer just really hates these videos. I like them, but my computer is nasty. Okay. All right, back to where I was. So sorry. Yada yada. Okay. All right. So everything is already a parallelogram on your worksheet. Now your job is to decide if it's just a parallelogram or if it might be something more specific. Okay. So every picture automatically has all 4 of these. All 4 of the, oh, it's not working because I turned it off. Okay, they automatically have all 4 of these. They might show you some of those 4 things, but it's guaranteed that they already have those 4 things. Your job on the worksheet is to see if they have any of these or any of these. Okay, because if they do, if they have congruent diagonals, if there's something about the picture that tells you that the diagonals are congruent, then it's automatically a rectangle. If there's anything about the picture that tells you that one of the angles, like in one of the corners, one of the vertices, if one of those is 90 degrees, then you automatically have a rectangle. Okay, over here on this one, if you have one pair of congruent consecutive sides, not sure why that, okay, whatever. Anyway, so if you see like, oh dear, wow, it really doesn't like me today. Okay, struggling. So consecutive sides is saying not opposite sides. So this would be opposite sides, yeah? Consecutive sides would be like this. Because if we already know it's a parallelogram, then we already know that this side is congruent to this side. We already know that because it's a parallelogram. But if they tell you that this side is congruent to this side, now all 4 sides are the same. And that is a property of a rhombus. Okay? If you can see somehow in the picture that the diagonals are perpendicular. Those of you that have your video on, raise your hand if you know what it means for 2 things to be perpendicular. Or show me. Can you show me what it means with your arms? What is perpendicular? Yeah, good job, Abby. Good job, Gracie. Good job, everybody. Yeah, perpendicular is like this. Yes? They make 90-degree angles. So if my diagonals, oh my gosh, this computer. There's a diagonal. There's a diagonal. If this, oh, yep, that guy right there. If that's 90 degrees, then those 2 diagonals are perpendicular. And that is a property of a rhombus. Okay? And then if one of the diagonals is bisecting opposite angles, let me show you what that looks like, sort of. Obviously, the picture is going to be struggly because I struggle. But if you have a diagonal, okay, what the symbol or the notation is going to look like if we bisect opposite angles is that these 2 angles are going to get cut exactly in half. So they're going to use these arcs. And then because these angles over here are different angles, then they might put 2 arcs and then 2 arcs. You see that? So that notation right there, when you see a single arc on one side and then double arc on the other side, that's saying that this line right here cut those opposite angles exactly in half. Okay, so quick review. On the worksheet, we already know that everything is a parallelogram. We're looking for the starred pink boxes. We're looking for any of those things to be present in the parallelogram for us to say, oh, well, if it has either of these 2 things, it's a rectangle. If it has any of these 2 or any of these 3 things, it's a rhombus. What happens if it has congruent diagonals and the diagonals bisect opposite angles? Anybody know?
Then is it a square?
Yeah. If it's both of these, that's what it says right down here. If it meets any condition of a rectangle and any condition of a rhombus, when a rectangle and a rhombus make a baby, it's a square. Okay, when you have the traits of a rectangle and the traits of a rhombus, you're a square. Don't be square. Okay, so let's look at one of your problems. Somebody pick one. Why can't I see? Hold on. Okay. There it is. Okay. So you can use your chat if you want to pick one, or you can just unmute yourself and tell me which one you want me to do. Pick one. A it is. All right. Thanks, Mason. You're a gem. Okay. So on A, who knows what these, wow. Who knows what those tell us? You can unmute yourselves and say, or you can type it.
Doesn't it mean that the sides are congruent?
Yes, that just means that those opposite sides are congruent. And then you've got these ones, the doubles, okay? That's telling you that those sides are also congruent, but maybe they're not congruent to the others. Maybe, maybe not, okay? So we've got opposite sides that are congruent. And then, let me see. And then what do these little chevron guys, what do those tell us?
Is it that they're parallel?
Yeah, those tell us that it's parallel. So this side right here, the left side is parallel to the right side. And because of these little marks right here, I know the top is parallel to the bottom. So let's go back to our flow chart. That told us, hold on. That told us that opposite sides are congruent, okay? And it told us that opposite sides are parallel, which is right here. Both pair of opposite sides are parallel. I don't know why it won't circle that, it's fine. And hi, I'm doing a video. My little children are playing outside, maybe in their underwear, maybe. And now they're running inside, and I don't really want you to have to see that. It's fine. I'm a really good mom, by the way. Yes. Sometimes I put clothes on them. I have them fooled. Okay. Anyway, so in the picture, you can see opposite sides are parallel and you can see opposite sides are congruent. If that is the case, those are all qualifications to become a parallelogram. We already knew it was a parallelogram, but we didn't get any other markings. So guess what A is? Parallelogram. Okay. Okay, somebody pick a different one. Throw it in the chat or unmute yourself. Pick another one. Oh, okay, here we go. So O, what do these and these tell us?
The opposite sides are congruent.
Good. So opposite sides are congruent. That's still stuck at parallelogram. We're trying to see if there's something that makes it more specific. So now, what's the other marking that it gives us? This right here. So it looks like when the two diagonals meet, you get a right angle. So what does that tell us about the two diagonals?
That they're perpendicular.
Yeah, and if the diagonals are perpendicular, what does that mean? What shape?
The rhombus.
It's a rhombus. Yay. Who's so excited about it being a rhombus? Gracie is. I can tell. Okay. All right. You want to do another one? Somebody pick one more, at least. G. Good choice. All right, G. G isn't telling us much, right? All G is telling us is that there's a 90-degree angle in the corner, okay? But remember I told you in the beginning that all of these are automatically parallelograms. So if we already know that it's a parallelogram, and now it's telling us that one angle is 90, what shape is it?
Rectangle.
Rectangle it is. Good job. Okay, one more. Let's do W. That's how you say it if you live in Genola. Just kidding, I made that up. W. That's how I say it because I am tired of being at my house. So I refuse to talk like an educated person. Talk however I darn well please. But I am giving up cursing. Ish. I haven't been swearing as much. I'm so happy. Except when I play cards with my husband. Then it all comes out, guys. Woo! It's bad stuff. Because he cheats. He's a dirty, rotten scoundrel. Okay, sorry. Distracted you. It's weird how I can do that even though you're not here to distract me. I think I could teach you so much if you were all silent. And then I think, no, I would still get off topic because I like to get off topic. It's my favorite. Okay, sorry, W. Okay, what is W? What are these little guys telling us? Somebody unmute. Opposite angles are congruent. Okay, and same here, right? So go back to your thing. Opposite angles are congruent. Look. What box is that in? Parallelograms, but it didn't give us anything else. So W is what? Just a parallelogram. Is this fun? It's probably a little easier now. Before it was probably like, what? This is written in Chinese, you crazy lady. Do you call me crazy when you're at home? You should, because I am. It's fine. Okay, I unmuted you. I think you can unmute yourselves if you want to. You have any other questions?
I'm confused on B because it's 3 lines.
Which one?
B.
Oh, it's just because, oh, good. We didn't do any with the diagonals. Okay, hold on. Let's do something with diagonals. Hold on. Okay, so Kenna had a question about B. The triple lines right here are just so you can tell the difference between the single tick marks, the double tick marks, and the triple. So these triple lines right here are just saying that all 4 of these sides are congruent. What shape is it that all 4 sides are congruent?
Oh, a square?
Well, a square, but if it doesn't meet all the requirements of a square.
Oh, a rhombus?
Yeah, a rhombus. So a rhombus has all 4 sides that are congruent. So now if it meets any of the property or any of the requirements for rectangle, then we could add that it's a square, but it doesn't. Let me show you. So then on the diagonals, if this piece is congruent to this piece, and then if this side is congruent to this side, then that means that this point in the middle where they meet is the midpoint of both of them, or those two diagonals are bisecting each other. So look back at your flow chart. It looks like in a parallelogram, diagonals bisect each other. So that is what that's showing you, but that's just a property of parallelograms. On that one though, we knew that 4 congruent sides, so B is going to be a rhombus. Okay, but let me just show you really quick because we didn't talk about any of the other diagonal ones. What is S? What is S telling us? Everybody look at S for a second. Why are these all just single tick marks?
They're all congruent.
Yeah, they're all congruent. So this point right here, I don't know why it won't make a point because it hates me. Okay, whatever. It's fine. This point right here in the middle is where the two diagonals are meeting, and it's definitely cutting the diagonals in half. But not only that, but all 4 of those are the same length. So what can you tell me about this diagonal, this whole thing, compared to this whole thing? Let's just put a number on it. Let's say the length is like 2. So if this length is 2 and this length is 2, how long is that whole diagonal? And if that's the same as these two, then those are both 2 and 2. So how long is that diagonal? I unmuted some of you. You can talk to me. You can unmute yourselves. Okay, so both diagonals are 4. And if both diagonals are 4, then both diagonals are congruent. So look back at your flow chart. Do you see anywhere on the flow chart where it says that the diagonals are congruent?
Rectangles?
Yeah. So if the diagonals are congruent, so if all 4 of the marks are the same, now that you cannot read that at all. Goodness. Sorry, I'm feeling very popular right now. Okay, so if all 4 of the marks are the same, like it is in S, find another one for me where all 4 of the marks are the same.
E.
Yeah, do you see on E up here? So the diagonals are also congruent in E, okay? And then in S, there's extra information. So we know that the diagonals are congruent. We also are given a 90-degree angle. Did I lose you guys? My goodness. Sorry, friends. My internet is just so angry at the world right now. Okay. Anyway, so all of those, anytime you see 4 of the same tick mark on the diagonals are congruent. So that's rectangle. And then on S, it also gives you 90-degree angle. 90-degree angles only happen in rectangles. So that one is for sure, because of 2 properties, S is for sure a rectangle. Good.
E.
Which one?
E.
So E has those congruent diagonals that we talked about, right? Do you remember what these little things mean? Maybe? So those marks are telling me that these 2 angles over here, these 2 little ones, are the congruent. And over here, because of the double arcs, those two angles are congruent. So that means that this diagonal has bisected. Oh, I can't write. Wouldn't it be cute if I could have cute handwriting on this? Ugh. Hit. I'm learning, guys. It's fine. So that diagonal is bisecting those opposite angles. So let's look over here. Diagonal bisects opposite angles. Look, what is that?
Rhombus.
That's a rhombus. And congruent diagonals is a rectangle. So that shape must be a
Square.
square.
Woo.
Yeah? Okay. Any other questions for me?